What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the Woman's Hustle, Thrills and Spills of Entrepreneurship. It's your girl, Coach K. Welcome back to another dope session. Before we get started, make sure you have subscribed to the Upgraded Mindsets Media channel. Make sure you are favoriting the podcast on your favorite audio streaming platform. So if you are looking, then you see I'm not here by myself. I'm going to allow my guest the honor of introducing herself. Hey, girl.
Hey, so hello, my name is Demetra Bradley. I am the owner of Foxy Defense and Protection, where I teach young girls and women how to physically, mentally, and emotionally protect themselves through self-defense. I'm
I
excited to join you today.
I am excited to have you. Listen, when y'all heard that, right? I love any woman that is helping us empower ourselves in so many different areas. We are some dope creatures. I want y'all to never forget that, okay? And we are going to talk a little bit more about that, but we're also going to dive into a little bit more of something that I know you guys always want to hear about, and that's like the balance of life, work-life balance. We know that some women are full time entrepreneurs like myself. Some are still in the workforce. Some are in school. There's so many different variations of that. So, we're going to talk about the work life balance and what that looks like for us, but also what it can look like for you. So, Demetra, please share a little bit more about your backstory and what got you started with Foxy Defense Pro.
Oh my goodness. So this is going to be very interesting, right? Because like you said, everybody's not a full-time entrepreneur, which is why we're going to have this conversation because what I didn't say in the intro is I am a wife, I am a mother of three, 22 years old, 4 years old, and 15 months old. Oh wait, what's today? He's 16 months today. Okay.
Oh,
And then I'm a police officer, been a police officer for 13 years. And
nice.
then I've been the business owner for Foxy Defense Pro for 6 years. So work life balance is something that I just cannot wait to dive into. But what started me on this journey for helping empower women was I had a call where I was in patrol and we got called to a lady's house where she was involved in a domestic violence situation. It was her kids, and her spouse, and she needed to get out of the situation, didn't really know how. And so sometimes when police arrive, we're not always the most sensitive to that situation because we do answer call, go from call to call to call, right? But it was something different about her. And so I wanted to connect with her on a different level. I asked her questions and got to understand what the issue really was. And hers was she didn't have the confidence to leave because she didn't know where her next meal was going to come from. She was not the breadwinner in that family, and she was like, and if he touches me or my kids, I don't know what I'm going to do. And so I was like, man, I got to help this lady. So I take it to a shelter. And then, that's it. I didn't have anything else to do with it. But I went back to that shelter a couple weeks later for a different call. And it was the shelter calling us for a reason, right? Well, the lady runs up and she's like, hey, officer, just all up. And I'm like, hey, chill out.
Right, right,
Like, you don't run up on cops like that. That's just,
right, right.
And so she was like, I'm sorry. Do you remember me? You probably don't, but I want to let you know that you helped me get out of a situation. And so she started talking, and I was like, oh, yes. Well, how is that going? And she said, well, they put us on this list for housing. This is where it's going to be. My kids are happier. They're making better grades in school. And, she was just telling me all the positive from me taking that time out to listen to her as a person from woman to woman, right? And
Yeah.
understanding what she needed and helping fulfill that. So I opened the business to have that impact more consistently, not just as a police officer, but as a woman in general. So yeah, that's where the passion is.
I love that. Listen, as nurturers, it was like something was just pulling at your string with that particular case, right? And I want to say that I'm glad that that particular case did that because it sparked something that you have now had for 6 years, sis. Like, I think that it's amazing. But not only are you teaching from the mental standpoint, but you teaching from the physical standpoint too. So
Mhm.
please share a little bit more about that.
Okay, so with our classes, I do believe that if you do not believe you can overcome something mentally, there's no way that we're going to get out on the floor and not be able to teach you how to do something physically. So we do start all of our classes working on mindset and talking about self-defense of the mind and what you need mentally to be able to protect yourself, protect your children, protect your loved ones, so that you can make it home safely. And then after we talk about that, then we go out on the floor, we do some hand techniques and some elbows, some knees, some kicks, some all of that. And then we do scenarios. And after scenario, well, the part of scenarios is you pull something out of a hat, you read the scenario. Now you got to figure out how to get out of that scenario because I may be the aggressor or my husband may be the aggressor. Most of the
Right.
time it's gonna be him because most of the time that's going to be the size of somebody that's trying to harm you, right? And so you got to figure out and use something we just taught you in that class to get out that situation. So it's a safe space. That's that opportunity for you to figure out the kinks of the initial shock, the let me figure this out real quick. Oh, this is okay. Oh, I messed up. Oh, but she go teach me and tell me how to get out of it better, right? So that's when we do that portion and everybody leaves feeling empowered. They feel better about if something does happen, they know how to at least approach the situation to get out of it safely.
I love it. And I really want to go back to what you said in the beginning when you started explaining it, because you have to make sure that this is right before you can do anything else on any level. I stress this every single day. If you guys listen to these episodes, you know at some point I'm going to talk about mindset because this is where everything begins. So, because that's where everything begins, you have to make sure that you are clear enough to be able to move forward in whatever endeavor it is that you're trying to move on. I love that you guys touched on that because you, as doing self-defense, you don't want their mental to be so out of whack that they
Mhm.
aren't able to defend themselves, and who's to say what could happen. We don't want that liability, even though I know we got waivers going on, but
Right.
you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But so I love that you really sit down and have that conversation. It's not just going in and saying, "Hey, okay, I'm gonna teach you something for an hour and send you on your way." Like, I love how you really get to like the nitty gritty with them, and I think that that's amazing. I also want to talk more about you because you empower and inspire so many from the mental but the physical perspective. But I also want to know what that looks like for you because as a police officer, as an entrepreneur, as a wife, as a mom, I already know, sis, there's moments of unbalance, unjust, probably havoc, but I would love for you to share a little bit more. Like, what does that look like? And how did you decide that I'm going to make this happen with everything?
So I my initial mindset with that was I want to be present. I want to be a present wife. I want to be a present mother, but I also want my own things, like my own career. I don't want to be a stay-at-home wife. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I just didn't
Right.
want for myself. And so in taking on all those hats, so let me just tell you how I became a wife and a mother in the same weekend. So what had happened was we have our wedding. It's Labor Day weekend because most of the people that was participating were in education and, it was holiday, right? And so it's like, okay, that's perfect for everybody. And then my husband's son, he was 10 at the time. And so he participated. He spent the weekend with us and all of that, right? And then he tells his dad, he says, Daddy, I want to live with you full time. And so I'm just like, we at the reception and everything.
Right.
And what? And so my husband being the man that he is was like, okay, bet, we here, we gonna get your stuff, let me talk to your mama, blah blah blah. And I'm like, hold on, we got a honeymoon and like, wait a minute, I don't know nothing about kids, bro. Like, chill out, time out. And so it's like, we'll figure it out, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And that's how I became a mom and a wife in the same weekend, right? And so he came with us. His mama had everything done. She said, here's his social security card, his shot records. I've already unenrolled him from school. Here you go. And she was like, I'll walk you through it if you need it. And I'm like, okay, yeah, because I'm going to need it.
Imma
So
need it.
she's been helpful in that process
I love
as
it.
well. She didn't just leave me out there and hang me to dry. Because when I tell you that first day, he said, Mr. Mitra, where's my lunch? And I was like, I gotta make lunches. So that's where it started was, oh, I gotta figure out because he's not a brand new um baby, he's already had somebody raise him a little bit. And so I was like, oh, I got to figure this out. So communication and having that support is what helps and continues to help me. He's grown now. He just turned 22, but he just returned home to help us with the littles, his brother and sister, and having that support system, that balance, that's where it comes from. I mean, I don't even like to use the word balance. It's management. I have a schedule. Everything is color coded. We use an app for everybody in the family that's a part of that support system. So me, my husband, my mom, and the oldest, we are all on that app. Everybody's stuff is color coordinated in that app. If you have something going on, if you have work, an event, everybody, doctor's appointments, is all in that app. And then on top of that app, it's in my personal planner, color coded as well. So that's how I keep my schedule and days and everything separated. And then you just plan ahead. So the only way to do everything is to not do everything. And I'm gonna say
Oh,
that again. The
hey,
only way
say it,
to do
please.
everything is to not do everything. So we do have people that come once a week that's helping us with the maintenance of the house. We have somebody that helps us with meals because I'm trying to get that baby fat off, and McDonald's and all these other places,
Come
Chick-fil-A
on.
right there readily available. So I have to have assistance
Yeah, it's
because I
facts.
don't have the time to meal prep. But if somebody does that for their business, the only way to do it all is not do it all. Is for me to
Yep.
reach out and assist or have them assist me in making meals for myself and my family. So we
Yeah.
have help. We have
Hey,
the support that we need.
I love that you even said that because I cannot stress to people enough the power of having help, not just from the personal perspective, but from the entrepreneurial perspective.
Right.
We've gotta get out of that mindset of starting the business all by ourselves. "Oh, I did this by myself." I don't like saying that anymore. It is an outdated value and an outdated system. We gotta stop doing that. I love
Yeah.
that you have structure, you have color codes. Hey, it sound like me because I definitely have color codes, like, even when it comes to the podcast, because I have 2, they're color coded. So I know this color is empowering real talk. This one is the woman's hustle. But also, if I have a regular consultation, whether I have a regular coaching session with a regular client, like they are all color coded. So I love that you did that. It's the importance of having that structure. We want our life to be easy. And I know that in the beginning, it probably took a while for you guys to get those systems in play. So probably a lot
Mhm.
of trial and error,
Mhm.
people frustrated, like, I don't want to do this, but
Mhm.
that hard work had to be done in order to make things easier for you.
So, with you saying making things easier, transitioning to having a business did make it easier when I already had systems in place. So, I had the mindset of, well, computers and websites, and that's not my thing. Let me reach out to somebody for that. So, even on the business side, I have people that help me with that. Now, granted, they may be in a different country or
Mhm.
something like that. It doesn't matter, but they can make my PowerPoint slides for me for presentations, and they can edit my videos and pictures and that type of stuff. So just having that ahead of time, that knowledge of knowing, like, I'm not gonna be able to do that, I can't keep up with it, let me reach out to somebody that is, and it helps me in the long run, and
It
it helps the
does.
business run consistently. Because if it was
Yes.
just up to me, I would be like, oh, did I post today? I didn't, maybe tomorrow.
Come on, talk about it. The importance of delegation is so critical. Being able to identify. I personally agree that feel like that, do I want to know everything about my business? Absolutely. I need to know this particular thing. I need to know it. That doesn't mean I want to do it. There's a
Right.
difference, right? So, yes, do I know how to create a website? Yes. Do I want to do the website? No, I don't. Do I want to handle all social media management? Do I know how to do it? Yes. Do I want to do it? No. But someone that continues to grow, eventually you are going to have to, you cannot expect to grow a business and expect to grow on any form if you are still trying to do everything.
Mhm.
There's going to be no pivot in that. And that speaks from a personal perspective too. Getting things together, because how do how you balance things for the professional side of things, but as a police officer, but also as a wife and stuff too. How do you make
Mhm.
time for like personal things?
So Everything is written down. If it's not written down, it does not exist. We write down our date nights. And for this year, we've taken on the responsibility of ABC date nights. So if you don't know what that is, it means that we're picking a letter of the alphabet every other week. So A, and then 2 weeks later is B, 2 weeks later is C. And we're picking something that starts with that alphabet and doing it. So I plan the first one, he plans the next one. I plan the next one, he plans the next one. And we're rotating like that. And we've come closer together because it was like, oh my goodness, the kids are getting a little bit older. The 4 year old, she wants to do cheer and all kinds of stuff. And it's like, girl,
Oh,
you four. Watch that tablet because where are you cheering at for? Nowhere. But she wants to do all this stuff. She wants to swim and she wants to fight like mommy. So we're trying to get her in some of those type of classes.
yeah.
So spending that time and having it written down and figuring out this is where dance would best fit, this is where jujitsu would best fit, and this is where swim would best fit, and seeing how that works. And then with my husband, being intentional about that time, making
Uh-huh.
sure that it's a disconnect from everything else. We're not talking about the kids when we're together. And I mean, if we do, it's like, let's make sure that they okay. Let's look at the app. Oh, they good. All right. Okay. And, enjoying that time and getting back to us because we were together 3 years before we got married. And so, and then having Chris or the oldest come and become my son like immediately, we had to figure that out too. So things got lost in the wayside because it was no planning with that.
Right.
But now that we're on a schedule and everything's good, we are just more intentional about spending time with each other and making time for our friends. So once a month, I do have a time where I go with my girlfriends because sometimes I'd be like, I don't want to be with you. I just want to go see my friends.
Yeah.
And I
And
want to
then
dress
nothing
up and I
wrong
want
with
to go
that.
to a tea party or something, right? Because being in a male dominated field, I don't want to be around y'all all the time.
Yes. Come on, sis. Talk about it.
I wanna
Talk
go to a tea
about it.
party. I
Yeah.
wanna do some
I love
line
that.
dancing or something, like
I love that for you. Like, I totally love that for you. And I want people to understand because I had a conversation with somebody that was like, oh, I want to be able to live my best life. Living your best life requires discipline. Living your best life requires structure. Living your best life requires you being intentional on the kind of life you want to have. And
that.
that involves schedules, that involves color coded appointments, that involves all of that because living your best life is not you just saying, oh, I'm going to take a trip and, but I don't know what's going to happen when I come back, but I'm going to take a trip. No, do I like spontaneity? I do. I do from time to time,
Yeah,
but
some
I am a planner. So I really want people to understand living your best life does not mean you're just ready to take trips and do all this and do all that, and you don't got the back end of stuff in order. You've got
right,
to make sure that those things are structured together.
because those systems also have to run when you're not there,
Come
and then
on.
you can't just start over after your week-long vacation or however long it is.
Yep.
That's gonna be a lot to try and make up. You have to have those systems in place, that way
Yep.
when you come back, it's like you never left.
Yep. That's facts straight like that. When it comes to like the outsourcing thing, I want to kind of get your feedback on the level of trust, right? And like being able to hold people accountable and who is a part of our tribes, right? Now we know you got hubby, we know you got family when it comes to those things. When it comes to like the business side of things, like how do you kind of vet, people that you potentially want to work with from the entrepreneurial side?
I use my personal experience when it comes to that. And I also depend on my feeling that I get that I say it's from the Holy Spirit. If God says yes, then okay, we're gonna move forward. If no, if I get something I can't figure out, can't pinpoint it, then we just not gonna move forward. But in that, the physical side of it is friendships are hard. And when we're picking people that we want to be our friends, that we think are gonna be around us for a long time and support us and see us from here and rise here, that type of stuff. And picking those friends, we have to pick people that are trustworthy. We have to pick people that support us. And that looks different because I may have a friend that supports me for my family stuff, but be like, girl, you need to let that business go. So I may not communicate with her about the business side of stuff, but if I need a babysitter, she's readily available. So you have to pick and choose on the personal side. So translating that to the business side, when I go to networking events and I'm exchanging information, social media handles, that type of stuff, I'm looking at your profile, I'm looking at your history, I'm seeing how consistent were you on your own page. I'm
Come on.
seeing because that matters. I don't want you to be in my life for a little bit and then drop off by the wayside because and not communicate. Or if I'm hiring you for a service and you're supposed to be a social media manager, for example, but you don't have your own social media. Yeah.
Say it again. Them are definitely red flags. I love that you're talking about the separation from friendship to business connections, business besties, that kind of thing, because there is a difference. I learned this the hard way, but I love that I learned it because it's a lesson that I needed as an entrepreneur. You can't always roll those people over to the business
Mhm.
side of things. And that's why it's important to build a network, build a tribe, and do the vetting too. I cannot stress that enough. If you are a business owner, you tell me you own a business, I'm coming to your page looking for your business.
Right.
But if all I see is toxic stuff, you selling, you sharing gossip sites and stuff like that, and I got to scroll for 5 minutes before I see one thing about your business, yeah,
Mm-mm.
I'm straight. I'm
Next.
not even gonna engage with you anymore. We might have connected on social media, but after 30 days, I'm probably gonna unfollow you because
Mhm.
I only want intentional minded people, pages, businesses that I see because that
Right.
is part of my daily inspiration to see others getting it as hard, if not harder than me.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's where my inspiration is going to come from. I don't want to be scrolling social media and be like, oh, now what just happened with that's sad. I don't need that kind of stuff in my life.
Nope, nope. And
Especially
also
if
too,
I'm gonna be on a different platform and I'm
that
looking
part.
for positivity, I'm gonna follow and it's like you can't replicate yourself because you're looking for the same qualities that you have in somebody else. If you miss something, you want them to be able to be like, "Hey girl, did you remember to do X, Y, and Z?" Like it's easier said than done, but you're essentially looking for another you.
And we got to be open minded for that, and that's where the mindset comes in as well. You've got to be open minded and receptive to receiving somebody that may not be a long 20-year friendship. You've got to be open minded for that. Me opening up my mind was the best thing that happened for me for that because I have business besties, I have fellow coaches, I have
Mhm,
different tribes of people, but they have been my support.
mhm,
I love my family. My family is supportive, but the crossover to the business,
mhm,
they can't provide that level of support for me because one, they haven't done it, and
mhm.
two, they don't know how. They're just like, "Oh, I support you. I know you do. Thank you." But I need that somebody like you said, "Oh, you had a misspelling on your website. I see you made a post, the link didn't work
Right.
or something like that." We need them kind of people in our
Yes.
lives. You know what I'm saying? Like, correct my jive. I ain't got no
Yes.
thank you. 'Cause you
Yes.
might have if I that mistake might have cost me some money, but I got a
Exactly.
business bestie that peeped it and said, "You know what? Go ahead, handle that."
And
You
that
know,
business person is not like, "Oh, look at her. She can't even spell," and
that
keep
part.
scrolling. Don't need that.
And being shady with it. Come on. Them
Yeah,
toxic people.
screenshotting, telling, just messy.
Yes, yes. I know we want to finalize things here, but I really would love for you to share more because you have so many things going on. I really would love for you to like just kind of really give some thrills and spills about, the ups and downs of your journey. What's like one of the highest moments that you've had during your career and business endeavors, and kind of maybe some of the lower points or lessons, that you've had along the way.
So one of the highest points for my career would be being the first Black female president of our Black Police Association. I said,
Okay.
"What is 2020, 2021?" I can't remember exactly which year it was, but it was like, "Yeah, you're the first female president we've had." What? How long has association been around? 1970 something. What? But that's because on the department of 1,800, there are only 23 Black females. So that was a definitely, yeah, girl, that's a whole different
So
conversation.
dope, sis. Look, years later, but congratulations, baby. That's history. That's what I'm talking about.
And
Come
on
on.
the low points, I still look at them as learning opportunities because being in this field, I've realized that, okay, I'm not the superwoman that I thought I was. And it has helped me ask for help and be comfortable figuring out how to do things that I'm not confident with. So I teach people how to fight because I know how to fight. I had a brother that threw me to the floor and 12 years older
Right.
than me and a cousin. Me and my cousin used to fight, and I'd be like, "Why I gotta go back over that Amy house with this cousin that fight?" But years later, it has helped
Yeah.
with my
Facts.
business. But when it comes to firearms, I don't know how to shoot. That's why I teach you how to fight because I don't know how to shoot.
Right. I love
So those lows, it's like, well, what you mean you don't know how to shoot? You a cop? I am. But that doesn't mean that I have to pretend that I'm the best at everything.
that part.
So knowing what your strengths and weaknesses are has been a whole learning lesson for me. And then those lows of taking calls where kids are killed and things like that. I used to take that home with me and be like, man, I wish it was something that I could do to prevent that. But in actuality, it wasn't. And when people are calling you, they're not calling you because it's the best day of their life. They're calling you because there is a problem and they need you to come and help and solve that problem. So I had to find resolution and saying, okay, let me make the best of what it is now. Let me help them from this point on, right? And so going from the highs to lows, the thrills and spills, that's pretty much what it's been. It's been a super, super high, just yep.
Whether in your corporate job as an officer, but also as well as your entrepreneurial journey, because each one of those, you're making an impact, sis. Like, and you're making a great impact. And I appreciate you so much for
Thank you.
stepping into that and being unapologetic in doing so, because sometimes we will let that confidence, we won't have the confidence to be able to step into that. So
Yeah.
the fact that you're able
Oh,
to
just
do that,
can I touch on that real quick? Just real quick.
yes, please.
Okay.
Yes.
Speaking about that, it took a lot out of me, or it took a lot for me to say, this is not a field that I see a lot of Black women in. Am I sure that I want to teach like martial arts, jujitsu, and Krav Maga? Are people going to believe me? Are they going to think I'm serious? They're not going to take my class. And I had all of those thoughts, every last one of them. That confidence is so important. And that's why now I focus on helping people with that mindset. Because again, it starts here, that self-defense of the mind. And that was my first lesson. It's like you often learn when you're teaching and the things that are coming out of your mouth. You're like, that was for me too.
Nope. Listen, that's what people don't get as coaches and teachers. That's what it's about for me. I
Mhm.
can say something and I'll be like, ooh, I'm gonna put that into my own play. You know what I'm saying? I am so good with that. I love to be able to do that. But I used to be like, oh, I gotta know everything. I don't. Because
Mhm.
one thing that this journey has allowed me to be and become is a lifelong learner.
Mhm.
And as an entrepreneur, I've got to be that because I want to continue to scale. I want to continue to pivot. And that's what I got to do. Be open minded, be receptive, seek mentorship, seek coaches like us. Listen, y'all got to stop thinking that y'all don't need help. Okay. I'm
That's
calling
right.
people out before we finalize up. Okay. You need help. You need support. You may not know exactly what that looks like, but it's okay to have a conversation to find out what. It may be something that's only temporary for you that's going to give you what you need to have that clarity to excel like big, but you've got to be open minded to do that. Nobody's going to judge you. You know, you just got to make sure it's the right people. Don't
Mhm.
have them energy zappers trying to talk to them energy zappers because, baby, they'll have you never starting. Okay.
That's right.
So you got to really understand that. So, I love this conversation. I think that I love the finalization of the confidence because at the end of the day, we have to have that. Whether it's building, whether it's starting, but also breaking through them fears,
Mhm.
of just starting.
Mhm.
So I think that that's amazing. So please let us know what's coming up for you. 20.
I am having my second annual I'm Worth Fighting for brunch, and I am so
Ooh,
excited about that. Yes, it's going to be in Fort Worth, Texas. You can find all the details about that at foxydefensepro.com. But I also have self defense classes coming up. I'm working on something virtual. Just make sure you follow me on social media to get the information for those virtual classes. And I'm just excited for the rest of 2025. Vision board party at the end of the year.
I
Just
love
so
it. I
excited.
love it. And I will make sure that her details are in the podcast notes, you guys. So I will make it easy for you guys to follow, stay up to date. I'm super excited for you, sis. It just sounds
Thank
like you've
you.
got so much going on. But thank you again for being who you are and being unapologetic with it. It's
Thank
appreciated out
you.
here. Woman to woman, baby. All right, y'all. We're gonna go ahead and get out of here. Please make sure you have subscribed. Let us know what you thought of the episode. Chime in, comment, share this with a friend that may be needing some confidence or maybe needing some wording of words of encouragement to help them step into and elevate themselves personally, but also as an entrepreneur. All right. We appreciate y'all for tuning in. Subscribe, follow, rate, review. I'll holla y'all.